This is an alleged case of Munchausen by proxy. This is the story of the lives of Jani and Bohdi Schofield. The Schofield family is comprised of two kids, Bohdi and Jani, and parents Susan and Michael. The public were first introduced to the Schofield family on Discovery Health because Jani, at only 6 years old, is actually the youngest person ever to be diagnosed with schizophrenia. And that's incredibly unusual because schizophrenia is usually a diagnosis you receive in late adolescence, early adulthood. Jani and the rest of her family were featured on shows like Dr. Phil and Oprah. I actually heard about this family first through Oprah. And Jani is captivating. She's a beautiful girl with wild hair, and her mother claims that despite her diagnosis, she actually has a genius-level IQ of 146. And Jani talks about the world that she's created, which is called Calilini, which features over 100 different imaginary characters. In both features, Susan and Michael are very open about how difficult caring for Jani is. They say that Jani is prone to dangerous and violent fits, which she often took out on her little brother Bohdi, who was very little at the time. So they actually wound up getting 2 separate apartments so that each child could have their designated space. I mean, this is a unique, fascinating, and heart-wrenching story. Well, Michael thought so too, so he wrote January 1st, which is a New York Times bestseller, and I'm editorializing here, but the vibe is that he really feels sorry for himself. Mother Susan also wrote a book called Born Schizophrenic, and she started a YouTube channel sharing all of her experiences with Jani and Bohdi. Susan and Michael got divorced in 2015, but both remarried. Things are quiet for a little while, and then Susan goes full force on her YouTube channel, and it's disturbing. So this is the Jani and Bohdi we knew, and this is Jani and Bohdi now. Bohdi has also received a diagnosis of autism and schizophrenia, and they're not bright-eyed kids talking about Calilini anymore. Quite the contrary, these are completely different kids. They always slur their speech, they drool, they look unkempt, and their living conditions are questionable. Like the red mattress is where Bohdi sleeps, and then Susan and her husband sleep on the blue mattress. And this is in the living room. And I mean, just look at those stains on the blue bed. Now, I'm not saying this to mom shame, because I can only imagine how difficult it must be to have 2 special needs children. However, Susan admits that both Jani and Bohdi are taking black label medications several times a day. They only give black label warnings to medications that carry significant safety risks, and it seems like this could have potentially done neurological damage to both Bohdi and Jani. I'll finish up in part 2. This is an alleged case of Munchausen by proxy. This is the story of Jani and Bohdi Schofield, part 2. So Susan Schofield, pictured here with her new husband and her children Jani and Bohdi, is sharing information on her YouTube channel that is causing a lot of alarms to go off in people's minds, including her ex-husband. Jani's father Michael and Susan were both featured on Dr. Phil for a second time, and it did not go well for Susan. So I could honestly go on and on about this episode. I'll just name a few highlights. Susan admitted to doctor shopping to over 50 different doctors in an effort to get Bohdi a diagnosis of schizophrenia. Now, Bohdi had a diagnosis of autism, and they both asked her why a diagnosis of schizophrenia is so important. And what she does is fascinating. She would invoke the names of Adam Lanza and Sandy Hook and Columbine, and she repeatedly implied that without the therapies and medication that schizophrenia would get you, her children could potentially be capable of doing something like that. And when she was confronted by how unfair that comparison is, she blamed it on the fact that she was bipolar. So she not only revealed that all of the efforts she's putting towards Bohdi and Jani aren't out of motherly concern, but she has a very low opinion of people with mental health conditions. Honestly, the interview was a catastrophe, and no one was really on her side by the end of it. And there was pretty significant fallout as a result. It was around this time that people started to suspect that she had Munchausen by proxy. Family services intervened and removed both Jani and Bohdi from her care. Michael was unable/unwilling to take Bohdi and Jani into his care, claiming that he had mental health issues himself and he was unable to care for them. So they both went into the system. Bohdi is living with a foster family. Jani was not able to find a foster family, so she stayed in a group home. Bohdi was reevaluated and received a diagnosis of autism and does not have schizophrenia and seems to be doing well with his new foster family. Jani was doing well in her group home, but made the decision to move back in with her mother when she turned 18 and has been radio silent since. Susan, by the way, was deemed by the courts as an unfit parent, and all of her parental rights for Bohdi have been terminated. So she may be Bohdi's mother biologically, but not legally. While Susan's alleged to have Munchausen by proxy, she's never officially been diagnosed. But these two are just the worst. They treated their children like cash cows, potentially caused brain damage, and failed them in every way you can. I hope life gets brighter for them.